Hey, JR here with the FinOps Foundation. I am in a tiny room at Google Next in Vegas in the Mandalay Bay with Sarah and Charan, who are, this is really cool, a mix of, from Google Cloud, product and engineering, who are the two counterparts who work together, kind of like FinOps, you have to work together to deliver features to their customers. So, Sarah, can you tell a little bit more about what your role is?
Certainly. So my name is Sarah McMullin. I'm the product lead for Cloud FinOps, which means my team is responsible for putting together all of the plans for our FinOps tooling and our billing BigQuery exports and programmatic access to our billing data through APIs.
Hi everybody, I'm Charan. I'm the engineering counterpart for Sarah. I lead engineering for Cloud FinOps at Google Cloud, and my team is responsible for everything that Sarah basically does on the product side, which is the whole billing experience, FinOps Hub, cost optimizations, cost controls, cost understanding, a ton of that stuff, including the BigQueries and stuff.
See, now I want to ask who tells who what to do. It seems like it's probably go both ways.
It's definitely a partnership. It's definitely a partnership.
So we're doing this session because two parts. First, I missed their announcement session this morning, which was on me, and second, it wasn't recorded, and so we wanted to do a quick little rundown of the features. So let's jump into those. So what were the big three that you launched?
This year, we focused on three areas. So the first area within the Inform pillar, we always talk about focusing at the data level first because you can't optimize what you can't see. And for us, making sure that data has the right level of granularity and that it's democratized, the access of it across an organization is critical. And we heard from our billing customers that having access to timely data is super important, obviously, for when you're doing budgets or when you're trying to find cost spikes or forecasting. So we're super excited to announce that we have reduced our billing end-to-end latency by 30%. So the time that it takes for usage to come in and for us to monetize that usage and for that usage, monetized usage to show up in our billing console or our APIs or our BigQuery exports has been reduced by 30%.
So for the FinOps consumer, the practitioner, why is that so important?
So I think it's super important because having your data come in faster means that you can react and take action that much faster. So you can figure out if you have a spike. What good is that if the data is only coming in after 24 hours? You need to be able to react and take action when it happens, so that way you can mitigate any type of cost inexpectancies.
And if you're prepared to share, how did you do it? How did you get it faster?
with a great collaboration with enough teams, with services and with the platforms and stuff. Yeah, it's a real team effort. Everybody put their real weight in prioritizing these meaningful features for our customers. And we do see a lot of customers, feedback coming in about this. And yeah, definitely looking at the backlogs and what is meaningful for our customers, we have done this.
I thought you were going to say I use Google Cloud's offerings of Gen AI and BigQuery to accelerate. No, okay.
And that too.
And that too. There we go.
So the interesting thing, though, with our data that I don't think a lot of folks might understand is that we actually stream our cost data. So we don't provide estimates. We actually provide net costs, and we're constantly streaming those net costs. So you can take action on net costed information right away faster. And I think this is key because you'll start to understand why we focused on this data layer when we talk about some of the other announcements. So we made our data faster. We also increased the granularity of the data, so now we support more sub-resource level granularity within our detailed billing BigQuery export that you can literally just turn on with one click. You don't have to set up any pipelines or set up any Lambda functions, whatever. You just push the button, you get the big data through the BigQuery pipeline, and now we support services such as BigQuery and cloud storage, and we have like a whole bunch more coming as well. So
what was the customer request use case around the granularity? What do they want to do with increased granularity?
Well, it's really, again, like finding out what are the cost drivers. So for example, like getting sub-resource granularity on Kubernetes, like figuring out at the pod level, what is actually driving your cost, then you can actually start to take action. Again, you can't optimize without that level of granularity, and we have customers that are obviously looking at cost data from across all of their cloud providers and having this level of granularity, and in partnership with the open billing standards, I think helps bring that insight across all the clouds and for us, it's like driving that visibility is like super, super important.
So that came up, I know, this morning that we did an analyst session, and the conversation was a lot about like increasing decision-making velocity and getting the data out more quickly and getting the right granularity of groupings of business value so you can actually go make decisions on the FinOps data, because people still seem to be confused. It's not about necessarily just reducing costs, you're actually trying to speed up innovation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we're definitely working with all the services. We're actually looking at and prioritizing the services that our customers are using the most, and we're trying to get this data out as fast as we can. We've put in investment so that the latency is reduced, but we're also putting in investment so that we can get to as granular as we can, so that it's people can actually make decisions on a timely manner.
Yeah. Totally.
And I think one of the additional features we put out, because I know we hear a lot from the community as well, that BigQuery and using BigQuery, some of our practitioners aren't developers, or they're not well versed in creating complex SQL queries. So now we've allowed our customers to be able to generate BigQuery queries directly from the cost reports. So literally all an analyst or all a FinOps practitioner has to do is look at, filter, look at their report. If they like what they see, they can generate the BigQuery query, and it'll actually populate it within their billing data. And again, like that kind of democratizes access to this data, makes the learning curve a lot less intimidating. And then again, like they can go dig into the data because the answers are there.
Just sort of like build out what you want visually with what you see is what you get interface, and then build a query, and you can take that and then run the query elsewhere programmatically.
Exactly. Yes, and it's like one click. That's
or modify the query once you get there. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So you're solving the blank page problem for building the query.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
And
you could start with that query. You could drill down more, or use it to combine it with other organizational data that you might have.
Within BigQuery.
Within BigQuery, and
cool.
that's a huge thing for our customers, so that they can actually bring it into their data lakes and then do all this reporting that is custom to them, which is meaningful within their context.
So like a table with business metrics and a table with cost, and then join them together.
All these
like
KPI metrics they could drive, they could define their own, and all of that.
Okay, so on the optimization side, so this one's obviously near and dear to our heart. So we actually put out the FinOps Hub last year, which was really exciting to see, because we actually had people posting on LinkedIn their FinOps scores and really like sharing across the board how they were doing with their FinOps practices. So this year we've GA'd obviously the FinOps Hub, and we've included project level views, and we'll continue to invest in the FinOps Hub as our one spot of optimization across the entire cloud. So again, it's really about providing prescriptive step-by-step recommendations that our customers can take to literally save millions of dollars. I've had customers come up to me and say, hey, using the FinOps Hub, we've saved tremendous amounts of money. So that's kind of an exciting feature that we put into the FinOps Hub to GA. And then we also have on the committed use discount side some interesting announcements. And I'll let Charan actually talk about that, because your team developed it.
Nice.
Yes. Before I talk about committed use discounts, which is very, very interesting, I also want to actually double click on the prescriptive part of the FinOps Hub, because when it comes to recommendations and stuff like that, obviously committed use discounts is a really great tool for reducing your cost based on the spend kind of a thing. But on the prescriptive part, we actually give recommendations on really reducing waste, or underutilized resources and things like that. And obviously that is the first thing that we actually show inside the FinOps Hub before we actually go to CUDs and things like that. And we do
the use
that.
Introduced before you do the rate
Exactly.
optimization.
So that being said, we understand that resource optimizing the resources is actually a hard thing to do, depending on where the companies are with respect to their maturity levels and stuff like that. But that being said, before we go to committed use discounts, we do ask customers to actually plan in their long-range plans and things like that on what investments they're actually going to do with the recommendations that we're providing to optimize resources. On the spend side, obviously, those are much more easier to capture discounts by committing. And one of the things that we actually see here again, is you do have committed use discounts both on resources as well as spend. Two different products, two different ways of actually looking at things. And as a customer, when they do want to optimize stuff, they're not really looking each of them in isolation. They're actually looking at each of these tools, in unison. So what we have done this time around is actually bring those views together. So we've done unified commitment analysis,
Nice.
right? And where you can actually see the resource commitments as well and how they're performing and stuff like that, and very quickly move towards the dollar values that you could actually that you're actually saving and stuff like that. So the unified analysis basically really brings the spend and the resource cards together.
So what is the prescriptive bit of it? What is different from how it was before?
The prescriptive piece with FinOps Hub in particular.
Yeah.
Okay, so it always was prescriptive
Okay.
actually. So it actually walks people through kind of the best, built on the FinOps Foundation best practices around optimizing. So first, look at your idle resources. Second, look at your underutilized. Third, look at your rate discounts. Like it goes step by step and prescribes it across the cloud.
Yeah, and in the same journey, we actually now have done analysis of that thing much more seamless and easy.
Excellent. That's people are always wondering, where do you start, right? And what's the level of
Exactly.
effort versus the benefit, and that's great to pull it together.
Exactly. The other interesting thing about unified commitment analysis is that we provide look-back windows on any amount of data, which is kind of unique actually. So you can look at years of data if you want, and also at an hourly granularity, all for free.
All for free.
And this is analysis after you purchase them.
Yeah.
So it's you
Yeah,
get
it's-
the prescriptive recommendation, you make the purchase, is showing you how you're using it.
Yep.
Is it ROI and things like that on that?
Yeah,
as well, savings?
100%.
Okay.
So there are two things. For things that are already purchased, we actually show ROI and stuff like that. We also show zero state, which is, hey, you don't have a commitment, but we can actually tell you all the on demand that you basically have that you could commit.
Okay.
And with the same exact view as something that you have actually committed. So in the same exact view, you can actually see things that you can commit and things you have committed that you can commit more if you choose to.
How do you tell customers what the right amount to do is then in this context?
Well, I think it's very personal, first of all. So we've made all of our recommendations configurable because people have certain risk preferences as well. And you have to, especially on the enterprise side, and our learnings are, sometimes 100% optimized isn't actually where our customers want to be with relation to even committing to that level of spend. So we've provided a lot of ways for our customers to configure our recommendations. And then we also provide not only optimal recommendations that take into account, like basically solving the optimization problem, which is over a period of time, would it have made sense for you to go with this recommendation or not? So we have our optimal recommendations as tuned by the preferences, but also we have conservative recommendations just to get people in the door and so they can see and start to realize savings. So we actually provide a lot of different recommendations that are pretty rich and built on big data that I think are it's like one of our sweetest secrets, I feel like, that customers should be taking advantage of.
Yeah, depending on where they are and what their strategy is with respect to the investments that they're making, they could also choose between resource and spend recommendations. And when we do recommendations with respect to spend or resource, we also provide trade-offs. So if you're really looking at a spend recommendation and there are other recommendations that the other cuts that you could do on the resource side of things, we actually show the trade-off. And this is something that we've already released last time around. So it's kind of pretty visible what the choices are.
Okay. So what's the third one?
So now we've got our data faster, it's open, it's more granular. Well, the next step is obviously for us to put out anomaly detection on that data.
People have been asking about that.
I know.
Somebody asked me
Yes.
yesterday at our event. They're like, "Can you believe there's no anomaly detection yet?"
Okay, so what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure we got it right. So
Yes.
here's
Okay.
the thing: when we looked at the landscape, a lot of people have anomaly detection, and a lot of customers don't use that anomaly detection. Why? Because it's noisy. There's like thousands of alerts. We went the opposite direction, actually. We wanted to make sure that our anomalies are smart. So it's built on the gold standard AI capabilities that power Google Cloud. One, we made sure that our algorithm is fine-tuned. Secondly, we made sure that the user experience was there for our customers, because we're all humans. We can't take into account all this data to make sense of it. So we really wanted to make sure that we focus the customer on anomalies that they need to react to right away. And then the third thing we did with this is we provided root cause analysis down to the SKU level, because the SKU level is where you monetize, like where customers are actually paying and how we're metering our products is at the SKU level. So if you want to take action on a SKU that's deviating from your configured amount of spend, then you can do that super fast. And so those are like the principles. And then obviously, because we built this on our data layer that we've already tuned to become faster, you know, I think it's fair to say that no one has this type of detection capabilities other than Google Cloud. So that's kind of the exciting part that I mean, we basically had people applauding in the audience as well. It's like, wow, okay, I didn't realize it was like so sought after. But
I feel like anomaly detection, though, you can go one of two ways, and I'm curious. It sounds like you've gone one way, but you can either make it really just out of the box easy, right?
Yep.
Go and it figures out what it should tell you about, or I'm kind of a control freak sometimes. I like to turn the dials, but what if somebody wants to really tune it in and dial it in? Like, is there an option to go either way? Does it go one or the other, or what's your thinking there?
Certainly, we are hearing from customers feedback on what are those levers that they would like to basically control and stuff like that. As much as possible, we want to build our products which are, which are very easy to use and stuff like that. And so barrier to entry has to be really, really low.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're putting those, that being said, configurations are required. So our strategy is to really listen to the customers in the use cases and then figure out what are those pieces that
which ones to add. Okay, great.
Yeah,
so right now you don't have to think about it; it just
nope.
happens.
And the other cool thing is it's for everybody. So when we say anomaly detection for all, everyone gets it. You don't have to configure it, set up a gazillion alerts. Like, it's just on. Right now, we're focused on making sure that we have the right level of detection with the anomalies before we open up the alerting. First, we're going to market with a private preview with our customers. And actually, some of the data coming back from our customers is so exciting. They're like, oh, we saw this rogue BigQuery project get spun out. And they are loving it. So anyway, so early signs are like, yeah, I think we've gotten it right, but we just want to make sure, as we always do with any of our products, is we work really closely with our customers to make sure that, one, the algorithm is tuned perfectly to their needs. Secondly, that the user experience is intuitive and it's easy for them to understand, and then we'll open it up to make sure that we have configurable alerting, so that way we're alerting on the right things and how our customers actually want to be alerted.
That's good, because you're not asking them to do work initially.
No.
And they can give you feedback about how they want to tweak it later. So makes
Exactly.
sense stepwise. So okay, putting it all together, what's the noisy area you're hearing in the space right now? I'm not asking for future roadmap, but what do you think? What do you think the FinOps industry in general? You asked me a future FinOps question earlier, so I'm asking you. What do you think the noisy areas that we're all going to be looking to in the next year?
One of the areas that I'm definitely seeing a lot of interest in is how to reconcile FinOps data and costs with driving the top line business. And I think I think from an enterprise perspective, I think that's super important. How to make FinOps kind of the person that is driving those strategic conversations at the C-suite level. I think that's kind of interesting. I think it's one of the themes I'm seeing anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely going up the stack and out of a silo, essentially.
100%. And it's around providing intelligence on how the business is operating and where the business should go. So again, it's up-leveling. It's not, again, about costs. It's really about making sure that the intelligence is there for our customers to make intelligent business decisions and drive their cloud value. That's what we're seeing. So it's kind of one of the areas.
Tactically, there are a lot of things that our customers actually want. So we're definitely asking for more cost optimization recommendations and that kind of stuff, basically. Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're also asking for cost allocations and these kind of things. Again, like Sarah said, the end goal is to actually get the most value out of the cloud.
Yeah.
So that's what we're kind of hearing from our customers, and yeah.
So when people come to see you at the next event,
FinOps
X, which is the next event, even though we're at Google Next, confusing, very confusing. What should they come to you with? What do you want? Do you want requests? Do you want feedback on the things that are just launched? How do they, because you have user groups going on, you've got product sessions, you're going to be hopefully making some announcements there, fingers crossed. How can they help be good partners with you?
Well, okay, so on the product side, I always welcome feedback. Actually, we had at our meetup last night, I had some really great conversations with customers that were telling us we met with your product managers and we gave them some hard feedback. I welcome that, because honestly, that's how our products get better. And if we're not building products that actually are for customers to use, then what's the point? For us, that's what I love, is customers coming up to us, giving us feedback, but also I think on the how to work with us. Also, I want them to also try out these products. So we'll have a blog where people can sign up, but get involved in our user forum and our UX cohort, where actually our customers inform us on our design. We're constantly engaging with our community on what we're building next, how we're building it, how to make it useful. because we have like a wide spectrum of customers with Google Cloud. Like we have everything from the small SMB startup to the unicorn digital native person to the large scale enterprise. And so I love feedback from all of those areas because we're building tools and data and programmatic access for all of them.
Nice.
Yeah, and definitely, like, I believe, like, really listening to the problems that they basically have, and within the organizations and stuff is something that we would like to basically listen, and we would like to kind of build solutions to those problems, so to solve those problems, so that for them cloud is very, very easy, and they kind of get the most value out of what they're kind of spending. So yeah, any critical feedback is actually always welcome. We want them to be very open to tell us what they're experiencing on their day to day, so that we can then go back and basically, like, figure out a strategy and plans on how we can make their lives easier. That's what we are always looking forward to do.
So you're saying to come and complain, but complain constructively how to improve. And it was great to see Millen from your team last night sitting there at the event, just taking copious notes from customers and saying, "This is great, keep it coming." So.
Yeah, like I think we work so closely with our customers that in some ways it's nice to also validate the where we're going is the right way. Like your state of FinOps is an awesome example of the fact that like customers now are more concerned than ever about managing committed use discounts. When I saw that came out, I'm like, perfect,
Jumped
because
up there,
we put out a whole bunch of tooling suite for that, and we have such a great roadmap and a vision and plan ahead that I think honestly, if we weren't in connection with our customers, we would be off the mark. And I think that's why it's a win.
The part of the beauty of us all coming together in this way, the practitioners, the clouds, the vendors, is that we put out that data. It happened to align to your roadmap, which is great. The focused billing data you're working on aligns to their asks, and it's all great. So next year we're going to try and get a little bigger room. We've optimized our optimized phase of the interview here in small room. But thank you for joining. We're going to do more of these hopefully in the future. And we'll see you at FinOps X.
Awesome. Thanks, Charan.
Thank you.
Thanks.